call the meeting to order and welcome everybody to the Vergne Planning Commission May 29th, 2018 public hearing at 6 p.m. We do have a quorum. First order of business, PC Resolution 2018-01, a resolution to amend Section 4-108.5 of the City of Vergne subdivision regulations regarding the sidewalk fee in lieu option. We'll now open the public hearing. If there's anybody who'd like to talk in regards to this resolution? With no comments, I now close the public hearing. The meeting is adjourned. I'd like to call the meeting to order and welcome everybody to the Vergne Planning Commission May 29th, 2018 regular meeting at 6 p.m. We do have a quorum. The first item of business is to approve the meeting minutes from April 24th, 2018 regular meeting. We have a motion to accept.
Make a motion to accept as submitted.
We have a motion to accept. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Minutes pass. First item of business, site plan requested by Dale and Associates for 126 International Boulevard, property located at 126 International Boulevard, tax map 17, parcel 2.01, I-2 Heavy Industrial Zoning District, property owned by Hood Distribution. Mr. Leach.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of their client, Dale & Associates is requesting a site plan approval for 126 International Boulevard in Laverne. The proposed site consists of 3.8 acres and located on International next door to the Trinidad Denim Corporation. An addition of 9,000 square feet is proposed. This will serve as a lumber storage facility. 5-foot wide sidewalk is required along all road frontage. And I believe there was an error on Mr. Logan's part. Yeah, I believe it's a 6-foot sidewalk required for this industrial usage. The technical items.
Dollar amount as stated.
Yes, sir.
Name and address for the record.
Adam Sager, Dale & Associates, 516 Heather Place, Nashville.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments for the applicant from the board?
With that, Mr. Chairman, I make my motion to accept as submitted.
We have a motion to accept. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen. Next item. PC Resolution 2018-01, a resolution to amend Section 4-108.5 of the City of Laverne subdivision regulation regarding the fee in lieu option. A public hearing has been held at 6 p.m. today, Tuesday, May 29th, 2018. Mr. Leach.
As we've talked about for, I believe, the past 5 months or so, this is the option to change the language as shown in the language you have prepared for you in the packet. You've seen it a couple times at this point. The major changes are basically refining the process such that previously applicants would basically state to the Planning Commission that they would like to pay a fee in lieu, and we would decide, you would decide whether or not that was acceptable. Now the process is such that they will submit a recommendation or submit a request to the city engineer and city planner that will be reviewed, stamped by another engineer stating why they cannot place a sidewalk on their site. The other major change, of course, is the actual amount of the fee in lieu. It's been adjusted upward. Along with everything else, the price of sidewalk has went up in the intervening years since the original subdivision regulation was written. Our hope is, from staff's perspective, is that this will alleviate people asking to get out of building sidewalks, but still allow staff and the Planning Commission flexibility to not have sidewalks to nowhere or that are essentially hanging off the side of steep embankments or running through ditch lines, that type of thing. Of course, we wouldn't allow that in the planning process, but those are that's a high-level overview of what we've done. but I think that's my only commentary.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments for staff from the board in regards to this? With that, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the PC Resolution 2018-01.
We have a motion to accept as submitted. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. On to item number 3. Recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, rezoning of property requested by Edwin Portillo, 2.21 acres, property located at 139 Glendale Drive, tax map 13M, Group C, parcel 18, current zoning district C2 Highway Service Commercial, proposed zoning district R1 Low Density Residential, property owned by Mira A. Alvias. Mr. Leach.
Mr. Chairman, the applicant, Edwin Portillo, is requesting a rezone of 2.21 acres from C2 Highway Service Commercial to R1 Low Density Commercial. Property is located in the Glendale Drive area just south of Murfreesboro Road. This is an unusual request for downzoning. Per the applicant, the purpose of the rezoning is to be able to maintain the property as a single-family residence. Property includes one parcel, 18, shown on Rutherford County Tax Map 015M, Group C. 3 lots that border this site on the east are all zoned R1. All of the remaining properties around 139 Glendale are currently zoned C2. We have a map there for your viewing pleasure. Additionally, I would like to go ahead and kind of read a general staff commentary, if I may.
Please, sir.
It is the general opinion of staff that this request runs contrary to our typical planning process and may be construed as spot zoning. Upon further research by staff, placing conditional restriction upon a rezoning does not have sufficient support in our zoning regulation to allow for enforcement of said restriction. The only portion of the ordinance that seems to allow restrictions is upon the allowance of special exceptions. Staff typically supports the highest best use of the property, which in this case of a downzoning eliminates the highest best use from consideration. So that was me trying to summarize several conversations that Bo and I, city administration, have had together. But this is a very atypical request, and of course it's always, and the board knows this better than most, rezoning up is always very difficult. So once something becomes R1, it tends to stay R1 for a long period of time. And of course the other is we generally try to avoid spot zoning. So as you can see from the zoning map, this is the parcel in question. It is surrounded on 3 sides. This is all commercial. This is kind of a small enclave or a holdover from basically older homes that were originally built in that area.
Any questions or comments from the board?
The applicant here, Mr. Chairman.
Will you please step to the podium and state your name and address for the record?
My name is Edwin Portillo. I'm living in 139 Glendale Drive.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Coates?
So I'm just trying to get a hand of going from a commercial to residential, of the primary reason for doing that.
There's no intention to sell the properties to be passed to the next generations. My mother has intended to put the property in a trust where it will pass to me, it will pass to my children, and so on. There's really no access to any commercial road where the property is located at, and our intentions, if it gets approved, would be to extend the property to accommodate the living space, keep it as a residential, not commercial.
Any other questions for this applicant? like to entertain a motion at this time? Or I'm going to give you a second, Mr. Coates?
I'm just looking at our ordinances just to look at something here real quick. Just give me a few minutes here.
Yes, sir. We're going to allow Mr. Coates to do a little bit of research for us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Leach, on here it says that there, of that top corner, if you're back to the existing structure, I guess that's the back, it says no deed of record found for that. Do you have an aerial of that? Is it just, I don't see anything on it. It seems to be a shed.
I assume you're talking about this
Mm-hmm.
shed? It's included in that parcel. I just don't know if there was, let me take a look here.
What I'm talking about is right off of Glendale Drive, just as you come right past the driveway. It says, observed area, no deed of record
Okay.
on the deed line.
So,
If I may address that, sir. So the surveyor, Mr. Dan, who did the survey, couldn't find any record. So we had to go to a 3-star title, and they are doing all the paperwork to get that included to be one. Because when the property was purchased by my mom, it was sold as a whole area. Mr. Dan couldn't find any record because he goes back to when the Waldrons used to own all the property back there. So we had to approach 3-star title company, and they had to go to a process where they put it on the the post the news, and then they do all the amendment and unite it to the one property, if it makes sense.
So has all of that been completed at this point?
No, we just hired them to start doing that. But that's why the property is 2.1 without including this extra land. With the land will be approximately 2.5 acres,
Okay, so
which
it's
it was
not
purchased.
included in this endeavor at this time.
Correct.
until such time as this parcel is reconciled by a surveyor, it would not be included in this motion.
Would it be automatic if it was
It
included?
would be automatic if the surveyor eventually reconciles this parcel, because the deed line is described as a legal instrument. That is the physical description of the land with the meet and bound description. If there was a parcel that was connected to this that for some reason was not documented, the surveyor and the title company basically have to work out the ownership of that parcel, and it may revert to this. It may go to the next property owner. That's really the title company working that out. So I would treat it as if it would eventually perhaps become part of this parcel.
Okay. Everybody fine?
Mr. Arthur, if it remains C2, can he still live in the premises as they presently sit now?
I believe since that was an existing usage, it was currently residential, that they could stay in their home as is.
So it's not hindering their living being C2.
Correct.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I'm a little uncomfortable with the property not being defined, understanding what Adam said. So with that, I'm just have a concern with what they're trying to do here. I'll just make a motion to send an unfavourable recommendation to the Mayor and Alderman.
State your reasoning, please.
I'm just concerned, number one, of course, is the property that we're dealing with titled exactly to the present owner? That has to be clarified. And two, I think it's the rest of the area is still the commercial, and if the present owner or the property owner can still live in the same premises without any dispensation to them, it's no real change to them anyway.
I have a motion to send a unfavorable recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? We'll be sending an unfavorable recommendation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Next item, number 4 has been deferred, correct, Mr. Leach?
Yes, sir. At the workshop, the applicant did come in and spoke about this item with the Planning Commission, but they have elected to defer since it was more of a discussion item at that time.
Thank you, sir. And item number 5? The deferral as well?
Yes, sir. I spoke with the applicant today. They had incorrectly done their submission, so they will be returning to the next Planning Commission.
Perfect, sir. So we'll be moving on to item number 6. Final plat re-subdivision of Lot 1 at Pope Drive subdivision, requested by Larry Sims, property located at 112 Pope Drive, tax map 18, I believe that's I, Group B, parcel 10.02, R2 medium density residential zoning district, property owned by Mr. Larry Sims. Mr. Leach.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This item was, if you'll excuse me for a moment while I get my paperwork in order, was spoken about at our last workshop. The applicant did not appear at the workshop.
Have you had any? Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Essentially, the issue that staff took with it was there was a pattern of minor subdivisioning which would equate to a major subdivision if done in aggregate by the same person. So I will read you the official summary. On behalf of Larry Downing, Larry Sims is requesting final plat approval of 4 lots on a roughly 1.36 acre tract near 766 Pope Drive. In recent years, 4 other lots were approved through final plat process at this same location. Plat was considered a minor plat because it did not meet the threshold for a major subdivision. The owner now wishes to subdivide out 4 additional lots. Taken together, these 2 minor subdivisions will now constitute a major subdivision. At the time the original 4 lots were approved in 2014, the applicant was advised of the rules and regulations concerning the subdivision process in the city of Laverne. The area in question back in 2014 is the same area that is now being proposed to become multiple lots. No one attended the workshop on May 15, 2018. No additional plans were submitted to review by the city or engineer or planner. And for reference, this is the parcel which they would like to subdivide further. The zoning map. And the roadway that serves that. As you can tell, it is very narrow and could potentially be hazardous with continued traffic.
Mr. Chairman, we discussed at the workshop, obviously the applicant's not here, and anyone here this evening I don't think is here for this one either. So therefore, with that, I'll just make a motion to deny the applicant as applied due to the A, the applicant not been here, and B, to the 1 through 6 technical items prescribed by the City of Laverne.
We have a motion to deny. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion passes. Next item. Number 7, final plat re-subdivision of Lot 1 at 5605 Murfreesboro Road, requested by Crawford and Cummings. Property located at 5605 Murfreesboro Road, tax map 18F, Group A, Parcel 1, C2 Highway Service Commercial Zoning District, property owned by JR Properties Management, LLC. Mr. Leach.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of their client, Crawford and Cummings Surveying is requesting final plat approval for various properties located at 5605 Murfreesboro Road. The purpose of the plat is to re-subdivide Lot 1 into 3 separate lots. Last month, April, a site plan for mini storage depot was approved at this same address. The new self-storage facility is proposed on a site consisting of 5.44 acres and is located next door to an existing A-plus storage on Murfreesboro Road. Last month's site plan proposes 5 new buildings, the largest of which will be approximately 45,000 square feet. Proposing existing uses on the adjacent lot are as follows. Lot 2 is slated to be car sales. Lot 3 contains a granite slab business. Lot 4 appears to be vacant, and Lot 1B is to become a new self-storage facility. After our conversations last month, the surveyor and owner of the property corrected all items that we had issue with. Additionally, if you excuse me, I'll look at this for a moment. That one. Lot 3 was expanded to include the access easement and essentially a flag lot that was going to be created. So there was one lot eliminated out of the original subdivision plan. The surveyor has shown all the proposed and existing structures as currently built. They are working to build, of course, the mini storage, but that will take some time. And as rendered and prepared in your packet, there are no technical items.
Very good, sir. Any questions or comments from the board?
Just to qualify, Adam, so 1B will be where the storage is going to be, correct?
That is correct.
The 1B, okay.
Yes, sir.
And then the flag one, that the road or the potential lot on the north side, that's now been joined to Lot 3 rather than another number.
Correct. It was integrated into that lot.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other questions or comments? Entertain a motion.
Accept the subdivision of Lot 1 and 3 on 5606 Business Park as submitted.
We have a motion to accept as submitted. We have a second.
I'll second it.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item. Set bond amount for final plat of Hollandale Estates Phase 70, requested by Womble & Associates, property located on Holland Ridge Road, tax map 14, PO parcel 11 and 11.11, R2 medium density residential zoning district, property owned by Laverne LF Holdings, LLC. Mr. Leach.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Danny Womble, on behalf of his client, is requesting the Planning Commission to set the bond amount for the public improvements in Phase 70 of the Hollandale Estates subdivision consisting of 40 lots. This is formerly Lake Forest Estates Phase 70. For the subdivision regulations, the developer has submitted 3 construction bids, an average plus the required 20% contingency, and a stamped estimate provided by the engineer. Bids are from 4 Star Paving, Scott and River, and Duggan's Construction. Engineer's estimate comes to $2,249,000 in total. The bond amount was reviewed by myself and found to be acceptable. In your packet, what was missing at the workshop was the bid from Duggan's Construction that is now included in your packet. So all items have been completed.
Very good. Do we have any questions or comments from the board? That will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept the bond amount of the 249 for the Phase 7. Only Phase 7. 70, sorry. 70. 77.
We have a motion to accept the stated bond amount. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item, bonds and letters of credit. Mr. Leach.
Mr. Chairman, Board, in the back of your packet, you'll have the current bond listing. There have been 2 additions with Lieutenant Frank Walkup subdivision and Lakewoods Phase 9 that were passed by this committee. There have been 25 lots pulled on Lakewoods Phase 9, and the bonds were submitted by the developer. Additionally, there is one bond that is, letter of credit that will be coming near due on June the 12th. I have communicated with the developer on whether he would like to extend or the other option on that particular bond, and we'll be working through that in the next week or so to decide which way that one will go. But other than that, there's been no major changes, and I was there for your review.
Thank you very much, sir. I'd like to thank everyone for their time. Meeting adjourned.